Uh, Last time you played Washington State was a very notable game. How many times have you gone back and watched that just for fun?
The
2019 Washington State games?
For fun?
Yeah.
Zero.
Okay.
Have not. I remember the game, but we weren't scheduled to play him for 2 more years. Then Mike left and went to Mississippi State, so there's no correlation to what we're playing or who we're doing. So I haven't actually gone back and watched that game at all.
I'm assuming that was one of the more interesting games you've ever participated in.
Definitely. I think it was 49-17 with about 4 minutes to go in the third quarter, and ended up winning the game. So that was one that you think about, but I haven't gone back to watch it now.
Okay. Coach Leach's passing, just how special was he, and what would be your thoughts Saturday?
Yeah, he had an unbelievable impact on this game, both on and off the field, and he was just such a special person. He definitely marched to a different beat than most people, and truly entertaining, but really, really intelligent, really smart. Always kind of made you think. Anytime you had a conversation with him, he'd bring up some points, and you'd be like, "Oh, I never looked at it that way." He had a great perspective on things. He enjoyed life. He was a special guy. So, in the impact that he had on that program, the impact that he's had at Texas Tech, the impact that he had at Mississippi State. So, and then anybody who worked with him will tell you, it's just, they can all wax eloquently about Mike Leach's stories. So, I was fortunate that I got to know him a little bit through the league, and he was a special guy.
What was his legacy on college football, do you think?
I think really where he pushed the passing game. The impact. Mike's famous for the line of his thought of being balanced isn't run past. His thought of being balanced is distributing the ball to 5 different eligible players in a balanced fashion. And really that's what he strove to do. So, I think people kind of look at the game a little bit differently. And then I think you look at his coaching tree and all the people who link in, and a bunch of guys that all worked for him and had been with him, and the success that they've gone on to have. So he had a huge impact on this game, and I think people will recognize that for a long time.
It sounds like Washington State still without their top receiver, but is like their next 3 guys.
Which one? Because they're all top receivers.
Yeah. Lincoln Victor.
Yeah, Lincoln's a great player. Kyle Williams is a great player. Josh Kelly is a great player. Hernandez is a good player. I think they've got more than one. I think everybody's depth gets tested at times. You're starting to get towards the middle of the season now. But it's not like he was their main guy. Those top catches are distributed. I think the top guy has 21, the 4th guy has 18. So Cam does a good job of getting the ball spread around. Going back to the balance part of it is that they are pretty balanced in their attack. So, they're going to have other guys that I think they can be able to plug in there, but Victor is a really good player.
You guys are currently 4 games through the season, but 3rd in points allowed per drive. Last year, 106th at the end of the year. What do you attribute that to, the biggest improvement at this point?
Well, I think we're playing well up front. I think our D-line generates a lot of TFLs, and I know we're high in the country in that. We're high in the country in sacks, so I think that productivity of those guys up front is one of it. I think Danton's doing a great job, along with the rest of our coaches, of putting those guys in position to make plays. But it's still early. I think sometimes you can take a subset of comparing a 13-game season to a 4-game season. But I am really happy with how we're playing, especially up front.
And I know we asked you about it preseason. Dan Lynn, he hadn't called plays before this season. How do you assess the job he's done?
I think Dan's done a great job. And really, he's poised. I use that word a lot because he is. He doesn't get rattled by any situation. I think he's really level-headed. He's a great influence to have, especially on the entire defense on the sideline, where he can bring that group together in between series and talk to them about what's up next. And I think he always keeps the main thing. We're always talking about the next drive and the next play. And I think the defensive guys have really adopted that philosophy.
Carson Ryan splashed quite a bit early in the season. What have you seen out of him so far?
Yeah, Carson, and I think he was on track to do that last year. Unfortunately, he got hurt, in that 5th game, or practice up until the 5th game, and couldn't continue to develop. But we were excited. He wasn't full go in the spring, but now he's back. He can do a multitude of things. He's a tight end. He's a running back. He's a fullback. He can catch a ball. and run with it. He can block at the point of attack. You can flex him out, and he can cause some mismatches in the pass game. So, as he continues to develop, I think his role will expand.
4 games in, are you thinking of or looking at like redshirting anybody so that they don't burn that year?
Well, we haven't. You got 4 games to play, so none of those guys that would be redshirt candidates played in all 4 of those first games anyway. So, you'll go through. It's when that guy gets to the decision. Like Kamari Ramsey, we ended up redshirting Kamari, but Kamari didn't get to the 4th game till game 11 and 12. Then we played him in 11, didn't play him in 12, and then played him in the bowl game. So that decision, it's a 4-game deal, but it's not the first 4 games of the season. It's how many games have they actually played. So there's nobody that's played in the first 4 games that we're not going to play in game 5 because those guys are part of the rotation. But some of those young freshmen that have played a little bit, but they haven't played in all 4 of those games, that's not a decision, at least this week. But every week we look at who's at 3 and is this 4, and who's at 4, and then what do we make a decision on? But we'll make those decisions based on an individual basis.
From a play calling standpoint, when you've got a group with so many new faces on offense, from Dante, Carson, Jay Michael, is there any adapting on your part as far as how to utilize them, how often to utilize them, that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's always part of the deal. Is what you're always trying to put your players in the best position to make plays on Saturday, and so it's the experience factor and what you carry into a game is maybe different when you have an older group than when you have a younger group. So the amount of plays and the volume that you're going to run on a weekly basis really depends on everything. It depends on what you have up front. Your experience factor there, your experience factor at wide out. It's all of it. So that's always taken into consideration whenever we're putting a game plan together.
At this point in the season, are you still kind of feeling out what guys do well and what you can accomplish in the running game with which run plays you can run?
No, I think it's all based on who your opponent is. So it's not, I feel really good about this guy. It's what schemes work against the team you're playing, because the defense for this team is totally different than the defense for San Diego State. So you can't say, hey, when we were playing San Diego State, we really like this. Let's continue to do that. Well, that may not work against your next opponent because they're not playing in the same defense. So everything's done on a weekly basis in terms of our game planning.
Thank you.
All right, guys.